All right, section 1.2 is also another review section from Algebra 1. This one, the title is Evaluate and Simplify Algebraic Expressions. One thing I want to look at, this is in the textbook, but kind of just a couple of terms you need to know. So we have 7 to the third power. The big number on the bottom is what's known as the base, and then the little number that it's being raised to is the exponent. And one thing you need to keep in mind is 7 to the third power is the same thing as 7 times 7 times 7. Okay, and that's an important thing, especially with negatives. And one thing I want to look at is example 1, and it says -5 to the fourth power. And then B is -5 to the fourth power as well, but they both are a little bit different. One's got parentheses and one doesn't. And you can put these in the calculator, of course, but a lot of people will miss these two questions because they don't put the parentheses in when they're supposed to. This one, if you were to write it out the long way, is -5 times -5 times -5 times -5. And when you multiply 4 negatives together, you get a positive. Okay? But with part B, this is really a negative just comes down, and only the 5 is being raised to the fourth power. So it's 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. So you get two completely different answers. Okay, so if I type in -5 to the fourth power with my parentheses, I get a positive 625 because the negative is also being raised to the fourth power. But if I do it without parentheses, only the 5 is being raised to the fourth power, and the negative comes down with it, and you get -625. So when doing problems with negatives and exponents, be extremely careful. Example 2 says they want you to evaluate -4x squared minus 6x plus 11 when x is -3. What I like to do when doing problems like this is to rewrite my expression, but everywhere you see a variable, just replace it with a set of parentheses, and then go back, that way you don't forget anything. And then once you do this, you already got your parentheses there, so there's no mistakes to be made. Go back now and just replace those parentheses with -3s. And now you can simply put it in the calculator, or you could do it by hand. But I'm just going to type in the calculator just the same way that it looks on my paper. -4 parentheses -3 squared minus 6 times -3, and then plus 11. When I do that, my calculator gives me -7. So really no mistakes can be made if you take the time and write this out, and don't try to just plug in your calculator right off the bat, because that's generally when mistakes will be made. Okay, and the last example has a couple parts to it. They want you to simplify the following expressions. So this is, again, just a little bit of review with like terms, but 8x plus 3x, they have the same variable, so what you can do is just simply add the two coefficients out in front. 8 plus 3 gets you 11, and then x. The way I like to think about it is it's 8 chairs plus 3 chairs gets you 11 chairs. Okay, you don't square anything, you don't do anything to the x's to make it different, you just leave the x's alone. Same thing here, you've got p squared and you got just a single p. Well, like terms have to have the same exponent along with the same variable. So I've got 5p squared minus 2p squared. So 5 minus 2 is 3. And again, the p squared part stays as it is. And then this plus p doesn't have a like term, so it just simply comes down. So your answer is 3p squared plus p. All right, the last two a little bit tougher. Question C, you have to get rid of your parentheses. You got to follow order of operations. So get rid of parentheses by distributing the 3. So 3 times y gets you 3y. 3 times 2 gets you a positive 6. And be careful here, you're distributing a -4. So -4 times y is -4y. But you also got -4 times -7, which gets you a positive 28. So be careful with those negatives. So now, just like question B, look for your like terms. I've got a 3y and a -4y. 3 minus 4 is -1y, or just -y. Then you've got positive 6 and a positive 28. So 6 plus 28 gets you 34. And the last one, a little bit easier than question C. They've already got these without parentheses, so you just combine your x's. So you got 2x minus 9x. That gets you negative 7x. And then negative 3y plus y is a negative 2y.